wins, small wins, we celebrate them all. If anybody's feeling bold, love to hear some good news. Nobody's feeling particularly winful today.
Well, yeah, I guess a big win for me would be, you know, we made a lot more money last year than the year before. We were able to pay off our house. So,
Hey, that's a
you know,
huge win. A lot of people go their whole lives,
yeah,
and can never
huge win.
say that.
Yeah. So in spite of the pandemic, I mean, yeah, it's the first time I ever paid off my house. Like
That
I've
is
I
huge.
actually own it, and it it came directly from your profit first and putting aside money monthly into taxes, draw, and profit. And so, taking the draw on the profit accounts and just saying, hey, we're gonna move it out and use it, and it was fantastic. So
Ah,
huge,
preach the
huge
That's
good
win.
my boy,
news,
Richard.
Rich.
Nice
Ah,
job, Rich.
yes, that's a
Yeah,
huge win.
big win.
Oh, that is awesome. Well, if anybody's feeling brave enough to try to top that, I'm just kidding. We celebrate wins, large and small. This is one of my clients. This is Arnold's Plumbing. I talk about them a lot. Dale Eads, the handsome fellow in front of the truck. That's his company. And he sent me this picture earlier this week of his guys got him this picture frame, this lovely photo they took together, in this mug here. And this is a guy where 2 years ago he was the only person in his company. He ran it out of his house, just him in a truck. And now he has a crew, and I think it really meant a lot to him, even more than the money that he saw coming in the bank, which we know is huge. But seeing this team that he's building and knowing that he's able to serve more customers, and so I thought that was a fun one to be able to share. All right. Okay. Well, let's get into it here today. Well, I'm going to be talking about, and everybody can see my screen. Yes, Bryce, we're good. Beautiful. Okay. So, what we're going to be talking about is knowing your value. This is something that comes up a lot. You might think, oh, I know the value that I bring. I know it. I know I do good work. Um, so, everybody should just know that. They should be able to tell. Well, me as somebody who owns one hammer, and that's about it in my toolbox, you might have a lot of value as a contractor. You might do top tier work, but I sure as heck can't see it. I don't know. I can see it looks good, but I don't know what benefits you provide or what other value, and neither do your customers. That's why they're hiring you, is because they aren't the experts. And so, what I'm really going to be bringing home here is, even if you do know your value, how to really effectively communicate that to your customers. Um, so, getting into it here, Grant Cardone. Anybody here familiar with Grant Cardone? Ever heard of him? I see hands going up. So he's a very, very successful entrepreneur. He started from scratch. He's self-made, and now he has a $5 billion portfolio. He does a lot of real estate. He's written quite a few books, but he said, never lower your price. Add value. What that really means to me is that we can't just increase our prices because we think, oh, I should be getting paid more. You have to make sure that your value matches what you are charging. A lot of clients I deal with, they're like, Nicole, I know I should be charging this in order to get the profit margin I deserve, but they're getting quotes from the general handyman over here, and he is going to be able to come in way less than me. And then even though I'm the better company, I'm going to lose that because of this general handyman that comes in and quotes. So what do? I have to lower my prices. No, never, never lower your prices. Add value. Maybe you're already bringing value, but your customer does not know. Your customer is not aware of it. You have to communicate it. Um, if anybody is feeling bold here, I would love to know. We've got quite a few people on this call. Who here is willing to speak up and kind of just say what they do that may be different than the other guy or better? What benefit do you bring? What value do you bring that makes you stand out compared to your competitors? Anybody? Bobby, Kathy, Darren, anybody?
Yeah. Okay. For us, we've been in business over 25 years, so we bring longevity. With Harley's help, we established a one sheet. So we do the before and after pictures for the homeowner because all of our work is above the roof line. And I've had maybe, I don't know, less than 10 people get up on a roof in the last 25 years.
Yeah.
So they trust you that you're doing the work right. In 09, we added Better Business Bureau and we're rated A+. So as a contractor, being rated A+ with a Better Business Bureau,
That's huge.
it's huge. And then I think when we first started with y'all and being in business 25 years, we had like 23 reviews. I never thought to ask for them. They just were there
No one
arbitrarily.
does.
Somebody threw it up there, but it was no intentionality. And
Yeah.
so we're up over 155 reviews right now over the last 2 years. And so they come in at a 4.8. So as a contractor, with BBB and the reviews, 4.8 rating, and the before and after, the way everything, all our trucks are wrapped, the
Yeah.
shirts, hats, everything
You're
coordinated.
definitely not the typical handyman. You're definitely not, with all of that. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about. These are things that not everybody has. Darren, I'm curious to know your thoughts. You can ask the rest of the team here. They were all in my office this morning, and I was being pretty vocal about how negative my experiences have been with pool cleaners in the Tulsa area. I've hired 5 different ones. I've had very negative experiences with all of them. I would love to know what makes you a little bit different than your average, pool cleaner.
Well, I'm sorry that you've had that experience, and it's
If
unfortunately
you
also
were
not an
closer.
uncommon experience. Anyone can get in the swimming pool business. Anybody can get in the swimming pool industry. You don't have to be. Now we just got some licensing in place, but in New Jersey, as little as we call them, something in a truck. You can put a couple things in there and you pick up truck and you're ready to go. We
Right.
train our guys all off season. We train them during meetings about every other week over certain things. And then sporadically, if things come back, we use a software system. So they use their phones, everything's on their phones, they take pictures. And so we'll go over things as they come up. And there's usually somebody here in the office answering the phone. My service manager's been with me. This will be her 3rd season, and it's night and day from where she was
Yeah.
to now. And she could talk intelligently about products. She's been in a bunch of services classes, and we also try not to do what I used to do and Rube Goldberg a bunch of stuff. We'll just fix this and it'll be less,
Right.
and you'll be good to go. Now it's like, no, because the customer is going to remember that 2 years ago, didn't I pay you to fix that? Even though I said it was just a repair.
Right.
And now it's like, nope, you're getting a new pump, you're getting a new multi-port, you're getting a new this. We're not replacing
Yeah.
bulbs and lights.
So
we
you're
just
honest,
so they're
communication.
they're gonna have to pay for it, but you're gonna be done now for the next 8 to 10 years.
Right. So you're honest, you're not going to sell them something they don't need, and you're not going to repair something that needs actually replaced. Your guys are trained. You're not just hiring every Joe Schmo and sending them out
You
there.
said I was honest. I didn't say I was honest. But no, and my crews right now, and it changes year to year because we are seasonal. And the crews I have right now all have a great attitude. I mean, they're guys
That's
that have a
huge.
smile on their face. They're happy
Can
to be here.
communicate clearly, can
I
have a
pay
good
them
sales
well. I've never paid
presence.
anybody this much before. So
But you're seeing the benefit of that, of having a higher quality
Absolutely.
crew. Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Or these are things that Darren does differently than your average pool cleaner. But I'm not going to know that at just looking at his website. And I sure as heck am not going to spend time reading it. You know why? Nobody does. And so this is something that during your sales process, you have to communicate. If you are going to charge the prices that you deserve, then you have to make sure that not only are you providing the value, but before you sell the job, you are communicating that value. Otherwise, the only thing the customer is going to see is your price versus the other person's price, because they don't know why you would deserve to get paid more than that guy. And no amount of before and after pictures are going to sell that for them. You have to communicate the value, which brings me to my next slide here. This is Oscar Wilde. I don't know who's all is familiar. Laughing at my slides earlier this morning about how sticking an Oscar Wilde quote, who was not a businessman, he was a poet and a playwright. But he said that nowadays people know the price of everything and the value of nothing. Why I thought this was relevant is all the time I get told by, and I'm sure I'm not alone here, by our clients that, oh, just people nowadays, they don't care about value. All they care about is just getting the best deal, getting the cheapest price. They don't care. Nowadays people don't care about that stuff. It's not the way it used to be. Well, Oscar Wilde died a long time ago. He lived a long time ago. I have his born and death date on here so you can see. He said this quote back then. So this was an issue all the way back then. This is not a new issue. This is not because of our generation. You can't blame me and Bryce and Harley for this one. But this is always going to be a thing. This has forever been a thing. Without communicating value, the only thing that people see is price, which is why it is up to you to educate the customer on the benefits you provide. It is nobody else's job. It's not your website's job. It's not, it's not your billboard's job. It's not your no-brainer offer. It's not painted on your vehicles. It is you or your salesperson's job to communicate the benefits that you provide. It's nobody else's. And without providing those benefits, without really emphasizing that value, the only thing that people worry about is price. You're never going to be able to sell at the price point that you deserve if you do not commit to communicating that value. This is something that Tim Red emphasizes with us coaches. It's something he emphasizes with our sales team. It's something I've heard him preach in conferences and with his own clients, is you will sell what you believe. If you do not believe in your technicians, if you do not believe in the value that you are providing, if you don't believe you deserve to make the profit margin that you should, then you're not going to sell it. And if you don't have sales training with your team to get them to believe the same thing, they're never going to be able to sell it. They have to believe in the value that you are providing in order to sell at the price point that you are trying to sell at, which is why sales training is so important. It's why communicating your team. It's why tools like the one sheet that allow your sales guys to be able to clearly go over benefits and value is so important if you want to be able to succeed at this. People buy the confidence you project is another thing that Tim says constantly, is before they buy your product, before they buy your service, they buy your confidence in what you are delivering and your knowledge on it and the value that you are able to communicate and deliver on. That's what people buy before they even look at the before and after pictures. They're buying that confidence. And so right now, I know it can be a really intimidating time with inflation, with material prices, with having to, give deadlines on estimates. I've had a lot of clients who now, if they give you a quote, it might only be good for a couple of weeks because they can't guarantee that that price is going to stay that way. And so I know that that's new and it's a little bit intimidating and it's different than what we've done before. But if you are doing good about communicating your value and making sure that everyone on your team really does believe in the services that you're providing, you're not going to have issues. People are still going to need plumbers. They're still going to want to remodel their houses, no matter what happens, in the economy. And so, the best way to be able to combat this is going to be by really knowing your value and being able to communicate it. And so speaking of increasing pricing, I'm going to hand over my screen here to Robert. He's going to kind of coach us through how to increase your prices, why you should do that, and the best ways to go about it.
All right, guys. Good to be with everyone this morning. I'm excited to talk about this and appreciate Richard at the beginning kind of sharing his win. Because if you guys can grasp what we're talking about here, and if as I'm covering this stuff, if you look at your own business, you look at the way that you're running things, you look at the way that you're pricing, and if some of this is resonating with you and you feel a need to make some adjustments, I encourage you to take action on this, because this stuff is the single-handed easiest way each person in this group call can begin increasing their profits right now with the stuff that I'm going to cover. One of the biggest things that we see here at Redmond Growth is business owners just leaving profits on the table. They do incredible work. They do a great job. They do better outperform their competitors, but they don't reflect that in their pricing. And that's typically due to some sort of insecurity or fear. And so I want to talk about how to increase pricing. The first kind of thing I want to go over are the two biggest reasons why we don't increase our price, right? The two biggest reasons that hold us back. There's only two reasons why we're not charging higher prices. The first reason is you may not think your expertise is worth it. Hey, I do what I do. It's not that hard for me. I charge what I charge. I don't want to increase because I don't know if it's worth it. First reason. Second reason is you think it is worth it. You think it is worth it, but you believe there's a fear, right, that's controlling the way that we operate, that's preventing us from living in financial freedom, the fear. We believe that if we increase our price, that if we charge more, no one will pay it. Okay, so let's address the first problem here. And this is really piggybacking off of everything that Nicole just talked about. And I need everyone to listen and try to understand this. And the reason why I keep emphasizing that is because we preach this, but somehow it doesn't resonate with people. So as a contractor, as a business owner, you are not selling your time. You are not just selling your knowledge. You are selling the value of the results that you deliver. And ultimately, you are selling the solution to the big freaking problem that customer is facing right now. I got a quick story to illustrate this. Some of you may be familiar with this story. It's kind of an old contractor's tale. There's a family in the middle of the night, right? A water line ruptures, right? Or something. Water starts leaking everywhere. This family is scrambling as their house is flooding. They're trying to fix it. They're trying to get it right. And water just keeps on going all over their home in the middle of the night. So what do? They call a plumber. They call a few. Finally, they find an emergency guy. They tell him what's going on. The plumber shows up at the customer's home, says, hey, let me look at the problem here. Takes a look at the problem, and then immediately says, oh, I think I know what the problem is. He takes out a screwdriver, turns a screw, water stops pulling all over the place, gives a customer bill for $500. Customer says, this is ridiculous. What? You're charging me $500? This only took 2 minutes of your time to fix. What's the deal here? The plumber says, well, I only charged you $1 for the time it took to fix a problem, and I charged you $499 for knowing which screw to turn. You are selling a value, you're selling value, you are selling the solution to the problem. You're not just a commodity who's selling time. You're not just a guy who's giving knowledge over the phone or to the customer. You are selling a solution to a big problem, okay? And higher prices will actually reassure your customers that you are among the best. I really liked what Hawk was saying earlier about how he trains his team, about this guy has standards that's far superior than most people, not only in his industry there in New Jersey, but most people across the country. Nicole just got done telling me she's worked with 5 different pool contractors, and all of them were terrible, for different reasons. This guy has a team that they're training in the off season. Who does that? They've got great attitudes. They're excited to work. They're skilled. They aren't getting called back to the job. They're fixing it right the first time, right? Hawk needs to make sure that is reflected in his pricing, because by charging higher prices, that distinguishes Hawk as being the best, which he is. It distinguishes him as solving the problem. So let's move on to the second problem. You think it is worth it, but if you believe that you charge more, no one will pay it. Who has that bigger concern when it comes to pricing? That's typically the most common thing I hear, okay? People are typically concerned about that. I, just in short, have really very rarely, and I've seen companies do dramatic price increase. I just want to say this across the board. Very rarely, meaning 98% of the time, even with a dramatic price increase, customers still pay it. Okay, so just know that fear is something that we're making a bigger deal than it actually is. And we know we may need to change our price. We're afraid people aren't going to pay it. I'm just going to say across the board right now, don't be afraid of that. People will still pay it. But let's still talk about the specifics of how to avoid this. First, guys, we've got to understand that price is fluid, not static. Okay, does anyone understand what I mean there? Price is fluid, not static. Anyone know what that means? I see Mr. Hyde talking with a muted microphone. Price is fluid, not static. What does that mean? Come on, guys. Are we awake this morning? Let's go. What does that mean?
It's constantly changing.
Change on the run.
Pricing is
on what we
changing.
got.
Okay, there we go. We got 2 answers at the same time. Both answers are correct. A lot of times it's easy for business owners to not even intentionally, but we set a price and then we just leave it. We don't address it. Redmond Growth was a victim of this for years. We just had pricing, and that just was our price.
I wish it was left that way.
Yeah, I bet you do. So price is not something that's static. It's not something that you set it and forget it. Price is something that you can change at any time you want. It's something that's fluid and something that needs to change based upon your profitability, right? Ultimately, if the calls are there, if we're keeping costs low and we're still not hitting our profitability goals, that is most likely just a pricing problem. Make sure to know it's fluid. It can change at any time. It's not something that's static or remains in stone. Second thing here. Yeah.
This year, more than any other year, the price, and it started last year, but I got price increases. Sometimes they're increasing every 2 weeks, PVC piping, and it's like, I have to be on top of what my vendors are selling it to me for. It really has been almost another job just to be able to change that pricing based on the cost changes so rapidly throughout the season.
Yeah, I've seen more contractors this past year lose profits for that reason. It's just because they're not increasing their prices. The supply houses, manufacturers are updating material. They understand this concept. They know it's fluid. They're not asking anyone's permission. They're not sending out a mass message email. hey, just let our customers know we updated prices again. No, they just flip and do it. The supply houses do it, and then you pay for it. You can operate in that same way in your business. And if you're not, you are losing money you should be earning. Why are we all on this call today? Why are we a Redmond Growth client? Because we have some big goals, big money goals. We have big life goals. We have big time freedom goals. How are we going to do that? Financial freedom. We're not going to get there if we're just leaving money on the table. We got to stay focused and recognize these price increases, stay in the game, and then reflect that in our pricing as well. Biggest thing to know is it's fluid. You can change it at any time. Second thing, if you're like, Robert, I hear what you're saying, buddy. I hear what you're saying, but this is still tough for me. I'm a little bit nervous. Robert, cut me some slack here, okay? I'm new to this. I've never changed prices. What do? Here's what I tell people. Just start in 10% increments over time. A 10% increment is a very, very small change that typically goes totally unnoticed. So if you feel in your soul, oh yeah, I guess Robert is right. I do need to change prices, but I'm sometimes afraid that no one will pay it, or maybe I don't think it's worth it. Just do an experiment. Just do a little action item, okay? Just do an experiment. This week, just do a 10% increase and see what happens. Chances are not only will you not lose any customers, unless you may have someone who's like a regular customer every single week or something like that, you're not going to have anyone complain with a 10% increase. And don't keep that 10% increase there. Keep on incrementally increasing by 10% over time. Hawk.
Just to add some experience to that, I went to a seminar off season, and it was how to increase your profits. His whole spiel was increase everything by 10%. And of course, I doubted, I can't do that. I did it. Nobody left. It was like, it was just free money. It was free money.
Guys, I promise you, I did not pay Hawk to say any of this, but Hawk, I will give you $20 after this, so I appreciate the endorsement. Daryl, do you have a quick question?
Kind of a statement, you know, we used to build a lot for Toll Brothers, which is a big publicly traded home builder nationwide. And on all their subs, what they would do is, like, when they sold a house, the next house went up 3% automatically. And they would just keep doing that until they felt like, you know, there was a dip. And then they would drop it down 3%, and then they would start right back over again. And it was just amazing that, you know, every house that went up, man, the next guy was paying 3% more for it. So
yeah. And here's the thing. Maybe a lot of us has changed prices because of material changes, but have we done the thing that the manufacturers have done to us actually, or are we just reflecting the price that we're passed down? Meaning this, how much has inflation gone up in the past year or so? Like, this is a big problem in America. We're all paying these ridiculous gas prices, right? Grocery stores, everything's up, plane tickets, everything's up, right? If you haven't changed your prices in the past year, in the past 6 months, the only change that you've made is just updated your pricing based upon upgraded material costs, if that's the only change that you made, do this 10% increment today. Do it right now.
Just to add the number to that, Robert, it's over 8% in inflation. Normally it's like 2-3%. This year's been 8.3.
Yeah, and we might think, oh man, well, we reflected our material prices, so you know the supply house has changed the price of materials, so we did too. But if that's the only change, we're not actually keeping up with inflation. We're just keeping up with the price of materials. We could still be leaving money on the table. If your prices remain static for the past 6 months or a year, if you haven't changed it, I challenge you, everyone on this call, increase your prices 10% right now. Watch what happens. Okay, here's another simple formula. Robert, how do I know what I need to set my price at? Just really simply break this down. Add up your labor, materials, and subs. So you can either do this, on larger projects if you're putting out a big proposal, or you can do this if you're a service company by job costing your individual services. Add up your labor, materials, and subs. Then add your overhead percentage to that. and then add a 20% net profit. This is a very simple way. Okay, and sometimes we can mess this up. So you have to, especially with the overhead percentage and the net profit percentage, you have to make sure that you're not basing that percentage off of the cost of goods, the labor, materials, and subs. So you have to make sure you're doing it right. But if you do that right, and that's reflected on all your pricing, then that will guarantee you a 20% net profit. The only way you won't hit it is if jobs are being mismanaged. You know, if we're doing estimates the wrong way, if we're ending up spending a lot more money than we estimate for. Harley.
Yes, and I was going to say, Robert, you've got this great formula here, and you just talked about if we're not doing estimates correctly, or if some of the business owners here are saying, well, I want to make sure that happens per job. I just encourage you guys to reach out to your coach, because we have a very simple estimate calculator that's done in a spreadsheet that I at least know it. A handful of my clients use regularly because it is so simple, and it makes sure that the job is calculated well. So,
yeah, and we also we can go really. We have a number of different worksheets that go really deep into this, especially for larger projects. You know, if it's going to be a larger long-term project, it's going to be in the tens of thousands or over $100,000. We have a great document, just kind of financial rules and how to make sure that you're doing this formula right with really detailed instructions so you're not missing a dime. Okay, so there's a simple formula. Customers complaining but paying, good sign. So here's what I don't want to hear. Robert, I did the 10% and customers complained. When people tell me that, I'm like, how many people complained? They're like, well, 3. I'm like, how many people did you see that week? 30. I'm like, okay, so the vast majority of people, the vast majority of people are not complaining. Got it. You know, so let's not make our adjustments based upon the few complainers, right? Let's just lose them as customers and get new ones if they're complaining. But here's the real point in what I'm saying. If customers complain, but they're paying, that's a good sign that you've found the right price. I've got a quote here that I want to show you guys in a minute to reflect that. But if they're willing to still pay for the job, if they're willing to say yes, even though they're like, man, this is high, where do we come in? That's where we come in with our value. Well, hey, we charge these prices because we know you're going to be satisfied. You're not going to have to get another person out here. We're going to get it done on time. It's going to be done according to your expectations. In fact, I believe we can exceed those. Confidence, you know, bam, okay, let's do it. So if people are complaining, don't say, Robert, they're complaining, we need to lower our price. They're still paying, keep charging it. What are we doing? The last thing here, and we were meeting this morning before the group call. And I was making sure Nicole saw my slides, was making sure our presentations were meshing together. And I kind of told her, I was like, the topic that I'm assigned to cover is how to increase prices. And really at the end of the day, you kind of just do it. Like, just do it. You got to understand again, reasons for not increasing price. Okay, I'm a guy who really likes to get down to the bottom, the core of everything. Why do humans operate the way we do? Why do businesses run the way we do? What's the core of it? Reasons for not increasing pricing are primarily based in an irrational fear or insecurity. Sometimes it's a self-worth problem. Sometimes we have a low self-esteem issue, and so we don't feel like we're worth it while we are kicking our competitors' ass in every way with the service that we provide. Be proud, be confident in the work that you do. Redmond Growth, for whatever reason, we're not able to attract contractors that do a poor job. And one of the reasons why we don't attract them is because it's kind of impossible to grow a business that does really bad, And so the people that we attract, the people that are on this call, the people listening to me right now, if you are on this call, it means you do high quality work. It means that you do some of the best work in your area. You've got to believe that. And sometimes I hear business reasons about why we're scared or hesitant to increase prices, when in reality, if you just ask why and why and why, at the end of the day, it gets down to an insecurity or fear that's internal. Let go of that. Release that. Step into your life. Step into your future. Have confidence in what you do. Keep doing an incredible job for your customers and make sure your price reflects that. Here's a quote I have. A guy named Paul Grant. I really, really love this guy. He's the founder of a venture capital group called Y Combinator. They have about 50,000 startups that apply to receive funding and coaching from them every year, 50,000 there in Silicon Valley. And they only accept a handful. You know, he's invested in companies like, I don't know if you've heard of it, Airbnb, Dropbox, Uber, like some of the world's most successful tech startups now. He has this quote that I love. He says, you have found, he said this in 2010, right? You have found market price when buyers complain but still pay. Why does he say that? Because that's like the perfect echelon, actually, of our pricing. If someone's kind of like complaining but they're still paying, it means that, yeah, we've kind of hit that high point, but they're still paying. So we've hit a good point. Don't take complaints as a way, if you do hear complaints in your pricing, don't take complaints as a reason why we should decrease pricing. If we hear complaints, probably means we're on the right track. And again, have confidence in your value with your customers. If they do complain, we're about to go over the don'ts of pricing. Don't apologize. Don't immediately just run and give them a discount. You know, have confidence in what you do and the value that you're going to provide and the solutions you're going to provide. Okay, I have the 3 pricing don'ts. Okay, just 3 things I've got to cover, you know, just because we've ran into some of these issues. Okay, first pricing don't. We kind of already touched on this. Do not, unless you want to add unnecessary havoc and chaos to your life, unless you want to deal with petty problems from petty people and fill your day with burning fires that aren't really burning fires, do not mass message your customers for every or any price change. Now, there's a caveat to this, okay? Don't do something disrespectful. You know, be smart about this. If you have a recurring customer, large customer, and you have a great relationship with them, and you just increase pricing and don't say anything, it may piss them off. So with relationships like that, you know, have a conversation, you know, there. One quick example, I work with Eklund Heat and Air here in Owasso. Busy season right now, they're slammed. They were using that estimating tool that Harley just mentioned. They use it, and they're a $2.5 million HVAC shop. They've got 9 trucks running. I mean, they're the real deal. They were using that estimating calculator, and he found out that he was only making a 10% profit on his commercial jobs. We had this conversation. It was affecting the P&L. I said, Will, buddy, like, the numbers are in the financial statement, dude. We've got to increase pricing here. You know, he's like, well, I've been working with these commercial, it was a home builder, and he was a sub for home builder, building dozens of homes a year. And they're doing, you know, installs of new HVAC systems on these homes. So, you know, kind of expensive work. He's like, dude, I mean, I've been working with this guy for a while now. And, you know, I just don't want to piss him off. I said, hey, just have a conversation with the guy. Don't back down. Just tell him, hey, we love working with you, but we're not making a profit on this stuff. We would love to continue working with you, but we've got to charge these prices if it's going to work for us. So he goes in and has that conversation. The guy just says, okay, and pays him. He just pays him. Why? Because the GC, the home builder, understood his value. He was like, you know, GCs can kind of give you this impression of, oh, I can find a sub anywhere, you know. But if you have a GC or you know, some big builder that's working with you and you're their sub, I guarantee you they're not wanting to replace you, because you know their system, you show up on time, you do good work, you're solving so many problems for them. And that's what happened in this story. You know, the GC just said, okay, and paid, and now he's making 50% more profits on all these jobs. And now he takes Fridays off, even during the busy season, and spends all weekend down here 45 minutes away here in Tulsa and Lake Skiatook on his boat with his wife and kids. All weekend, they live on the boat, you know? Why did he do that? Why is he able to do that? He has more financial freedom than ever. He's running the profit first system, but he decided that he wasn't going to let fear, he wasn't going to let insecurity control him. He knew what he needed to do. He knew his worth and he did it. Okay. Second thing here, don't apologize for your pricing. Oh my gosh. Nothing looks weaker than a guy apologizing for their pricing. What even is that? We're going to charge a price and then apologize for it? No, do not apologize for your pricing. And I know I'm kind of making this funny or light, you know, it does look kind of weak. But the real reason why you don't want to apologize for your pricing, you know, Nicole was talking about earlier, you know, knowing your value, selling with confidence. I mentioned, hey, if you have a higher price, that typically establishes you as a better brand. If we're apologizing our pricing, that reflects very poorly on our brand. That reflects very poorly on the quality of work. So what do we do if someone is complaining about pricing? We don't say, I'm sorry, it costs what it costs. You know, that looks weak. We say, hey, I know this may be tough. Maybe you weren't expecting to have to pay this. But here's what separates us from everyone else in town. Pull out that one sheet, bam, bam, well, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5. We guarantee you're going to be satisfied with your experience. In fact, you're going to end up saving money with us because with a lot of our other competitors are having to call someone back out. They're having to get a second opinion on something. Our customers don't run into that. Don't take my word for it. Just look at our Google business listing. That's confidence. People want to work with that kind of person. You know, and the last thing here, don't allow your employees to project their own opinions on pricing to you or the customer. This applies for everyone, but what I'm about to say applies for everyone but Redmond Growth employees. Okay. So employees just simply don't have an entrepreneurship mentality a lot of times. Okay. A lot of times they have a mentality a lot like your customers do, kind of this poverty mindset almost sometimes. And so if you do have employees that are, you know, giving their opinions and their negative opinions about your pricing, something you got to make sure of, you got to make sure that's not being shown up in front of the customer, which is a common problem. You know, employees actually discounting services without customers even asking, just because they look around the house and are like, yeah, I don't know if they can afford this. No, know your value, be proud of it. What does knowing your value mean? It means that you are so confident in the experience that customer is going to have with working with you, you know that you're worth it. The customer will be happy that you were the contractor that charged the prices that you charged, that did the work that you did because you did it with excellence. You know, so with that comes from a poverty mentality, that comes from a mentality of lack, not abundance. So, and what I encourage business owners to do is to mentor your team. If you're hearing that, begin to mentor them, teach them just basics of personal financial planning, basics of wealth building, basics of building a business. Help them understand the concepts that we're talking about here today about value, about offering excellent service to customer. Use that as an opportunity to say, I want you to be so proud of the work you do as an employee of this organization that you're confident to charge these prices. You know, maybe there's a self-esteem, maybe there's a fear, maybe there's an insecurity there. So yeah, teach them these concepts. So anyway, I know that was a lot, but the action item, the do it now, make more money now. Seriously, guys, this stuff works, okay? And let me tell you, I I know I may be speaking with a lot of confidence about increasing prices and this and that, but I myself have been really scared at times to change prices. You know, the business boost that we run at Redmond Growth, that was a new thing that we just started doing at the end of last year. And I remember I was really nervous to do that because I thought we would lose people, you know, but then my dad, you know, talked me through it. He kind of reminded me of these concepts I'm now teaching you. And now we're booking people 3-month agreements. It's working great. And so I know if don't hear me as just saying, oh, you're weak if you're afraid to. I get it. I really get it. I've really been there, and I've been surprised myself to say, oh my gosh, like, man, I actually kind of have more empathy for what my clients are going through. But have confidence in it. I've seen this stuff be true for my own business and for hundreds of different clients that we've worked with. Go ahead. If any of this resonates with you, let's make the adjustments. Where do I start, Robert? I don't even know where to start. Just start with 10%. Try it this week. See what happens.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So, a few little housekeeping notes before we open up the floor to you guys to ask any quick questions that you have. But just a little housekeeping things. June is a month where we have 5 Thursdays. That means that next week we will not have a group coaching call. What we will have is on Tuesday we have those Q&A calls where you can jump on Zoom and it's either one of us coaches or one of the Redmonds themselves just sitting on Zoom waiting for clients to appear to answer questions. And so if you need some extra support, you know, you can always book laser coaching calls with your coach. We're not a lawyer. We don't bill per hour per minute. Reach out to us if you need something. But just wanted to remind that next Thursday we will not have a group coaching call, but we will still have the Q&A call on Tuesday, 9 a.m. Central Time. So don't hesitate to join that. But before we wrap it up here today, does anybody have any questions about pricing, value, or any other questions that aren't even, you know, related to what we just talked about? Darren, I just saw your hand go up.
So in the past, well, going back a few years, I put a gas surcharge in. I'm thinking about doing it again. Not a lot, $4.99, $4, $5 onto every service call. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts were on
that. If it needs to be done, Darren, do it.
Okay. The other thing I had was, with your pricing, for me, what I have is I get comparisons from the internet. So they all know price from the internet, and we're always battling. It's like, okay, but compared to ABC pools, XYZ pools, if you compare me to them, we're right in the ballpark. We're right where we need to be. But people want, they're like, well, if I buy it, will you put it in? No. Oh, I'm going to charge you double to put it in because I need to make money on both the parts and the labor. Nobody brings the spark plugs to the mechanic.
So was that kind of a question, Darren, or is that saying how you manage it?
Pretty much how I manage it in case other people had that same issue.
Yeah, and what I would explain to people is just very simply, hey, here's why we prefer being the guys to order the parts. You know, here's why we would recommend not ordering stuff online or not working with this company online. Here's the dangers that people can fall into whenever they try to do that. Because I know firsthand that's a dangerous game for customers to play. It messes up the job. They order the wrong materials. It delays the project. There's so many reasons why. You know, hey, when you work with us, you don't have to worry about any of those problems. We literally take care of everything for you. It's really good. Anyone else?
Any questions? Brent, I saw you on mute. Do you got questions, sir?
Yeah, I do. Trying to get my video on here, but it's not working well. So this resonated pretty hard here with me. This whole meeting was excellent. So thank you for the topic of the day here. And we've really been struggling, as Harley knows. One of our biggest things for the last 2 months is trying to sign off on projects here. It's been a real struggle in the last couple months, and we're trying not to give in to our price increase or to lowering our price to get the jobs. And I've been making the comment I have 2 salespeople. I've been using the phrase, and you really hit the nail on the head for me here. I've been saying, guys, you got to stop shopping out of your own wallet. It was like the best way I could try to get my point across.
That's good.
My sales team, like, just because maybe you can't justify doing this tile job in your house or with your income or your home, whatever it may be, don't think that these clients can't. And I've noticed it, and I've just came up with the phrase, don't try to sell the job like you're selling it out of your wallet. Like you're the one who has to buy it. And we don't deal with that clientele. We're on a different higher end clientele. And it's sometimes really hard to get to understand that, to like, how could someone ever spend this much money on this product we're spending? It's a different life. There's a different lifestyle out there. People have the money, and it's hard when you don't have that kind of money to even think that they're never going to go for that. And it's head trash. And I'm beyond that. And I know I sell with confidence, and my sales level, which I'm not into sales within my company. It's not my role to be out in front of the customer and selling. But every time I do, man, it's so successful. I get the job, and you just really confirmed it for me. What that is my confidence that I show up with. And I'm not selling at all. I'm just telling the client exactly what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And it's a take it or leave it offer.
Yeah.
And I always see in the client that they're going, huh, yeah, okay. Any other way than the way that you're proposing it is likely going to be a problem down the road. And I've never, you guys have said it so well here. So to maybe put this in a question now versus the comment, I don't know how to relay this to my sales staff. And I feel like, other than you guys have said it so well, being pros at what you do, I want to just watch this recorded meeting with them on our Monday morning meeting. Is there any advice or takeaway of?
Yes, Brent.
Where do we start? How do I get my two sales staff to like really help this resonate? Because I know this is a direct issue in my company.
So just to kind of challenge you, hey, what do you do about this problem? The reflection that, I love that term you came up, hey, don't shop out of your own wallet. The reason why they may be doing that, at the end of the day, even despite them being your sales guys, they may not really understand the value. And so where I would focus is educating them on the value that you bring, the way that you do things uniquely and differently. And by educating them on the value and the results you're able to get for people, not only will they begin to understand, oh, yeah, I guess other contractors like ours really don't do what we do, and we do that, so I guess it's more valuable. Not only will they get it, you're going to find that they're going to be able to sell better as well, because they're going to be able to now reflect and know your value with confidence and communicate that to your customer. So that's where I would start is if you want to share this recording to them, that's great. But I would have a conversation and I would take ownership. Hey guys, I think I get something, but I don't think you guys get it. And ultimately, that's my fault. And I want to explain that to you so that you guys have confidence in the prices that we charge and you know the value that we're really bringing here. Not only will avoid that problem, but it's going to cause them to sell better too.
I believe it 100%. You nailed it there, because I do truly believe that when I ask that question, I really want to ask the question, do you believe in the prices we're charging? I know hands down they believe in the company. I know they believe in the value we bring, and it's second to none. And when you started off the meeting on what do you do different, I didn't chime in because it's like I know what I do different, but I definitely don't know how I'm portraying that to the client. And it's not the website, it's not the billboards, it is in that initial meeting to get that point across. And
exactly.
You're gonna close more deals.
We have to do better.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Well, guys, we've got to wrap up this meeting here, but we really appreciate the feedback here today and everybody chiming in, and it just makes the meeting so much more interactive, so much more powerful. So thank you so much. Again, if you didn't get your questions answered, reach out to your coach, book a laser coaching call, jump on the Q&A call on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time. We have a lot of resources and opportunities to get you answers quickly, so don't hesitate to take advantage of it. But somebody who's been pretty quiet this meeting, who I'm going to force us to close us out, is Jonathan Rude. If you could have everybody unmute their mics, and we're going to close this meeting out the same way we always do.
Let's do it. Come on, guys.
All right. Remember to say growth on 3. That's 1, 2, 3.
Growth.
Yes.
Bye,
Bobby,
guys. Have a good week.
appreciate you, man.